Hello, Tom from Every Step Calculus, everystepphysics.com. You can see this is a cylindrical shell method. I found it on Yahoo. It was a kid who asked the question there when I'm searching for problems to do and check my programs. And so this kid tries to use the shell method here, and wouldn't you know, they got two functions here, which is not in the formula for the shell formula. So as if stuff isn't hard enough, you know, you go there, most shell systems there's only one function, you know, and they tell you around the horizontal or vertical axis, y or x. And wouldn't you know, this problem here comes up. Somebody gives them in a test maybe or whatever, and you got two. Let's see if you can do this one. Of course, these are all complete nonsense, all this stuff here, rotating figures around the x-axis and figuring out the volume of it. Nobody's interested in it, never solved anybody's problem ever. Complete waste of time. Just Sudoku problems and crossword puzzles, studying crossword puzzles and Sudoku problems. That's what the calculus is. Bunch of BS. So anyways, let's do it. I programmed this so I could practice, pass calculus, and I'm giving you the opportunity to do the same thing. You buy my programs, $40, whatever, and put index 8 into the home screen here, and it'll come up with the main menu, and you scroll down to shell methods. When it's busy here, it's loading the programs. Now we're at the top of the alphabet. I'm going to press the upper cursor to go to the bottom alphabet so I can get to the shell method pretty quick. The S in the alphabet, right? Are you with me? And let's see, where's shell? Here's shell method here. Notice in this test they gave you cylindrical shell method, you know, or questioning or whatever they're doing on a test. But I will explain. Well, I don't know myself, tell you the truth, how you determine. If they just gave you these functions here about this, to me I would be choosing the washer method, but simply because they got two functions here. But then I have to revise that now, because now they got two functions and rotating about x equals minus 2. It should be saying the axis is x minus 2, or radius. So anyways, we're going to press enter to get to the shell method. And is it vertical axis? Doesn't really say. You'd think it would be the x-axis, horizontal axis, but I know this because of the dx problems, you know. So when shells are the opposite. In all the other ones, the disc and the washers, if you saw the functions being in x here, you would know that you're after a x-axis or dx problem. But the thing about this problem is that this guy answered it, and then you have the answer down here below, and notice the nonsense. In other words, this kid is asking something to learn about how to solve this problem for a test. Doesn't care about learning it. None of us care about learning this crap for lifelong information or intelligence. No. We just want to learn enough to pass the test and get the heck out of that class and never to touch it again, even if you worked at NASA or space calculations, whatever. You'll never use calculus ever in any of that stuff. Reason is that it's all simple functions, and calculus needs functions to work with. Look at this simple functions here, 4x minus x squared. If you graph this on your calculator, both these, which I've done, you can see there are two parabolas. You know, one is because it's a minus, x squared here is a valley parabola, and the other one's a mountain parabola. Okay, and then they meet in between, or what you're going, and then you're going to revolve it around the x-axis or the y-axis, vertical, and it cuts off at x equals minus 2, which turns out to be x plus 2 on the x-axis, and all confusing baloney stuff. But we're going to choose number 2 here for the vertical axis. Volume of a cylinder. Incidentally, the shell method is dealing with cylinders, not with solids. Now this kid couldn't figure it out. He says the answer is 256.3. He can never get it. He always got 128.3, and he puts down what he did here. Couldn't figure out the pi thing from word processing to put a pi sign in there, you know, of course. And his use of parentheses is questionable. Calculations. But anyways, I figured this all out and make it simple for you to learn. Okay, now here's the formula, right? 2 pi times the integral of px times h of x. This is in Stewart calculus books and Larson books. You know, this is the way it's done right here. Px is the radius and h of x is the height. And of course 2 pi times the radius is the circumference of a cylinder or a circle. So I tell you that px is equal to the radius, and it's normally equal to x, okay, always in these problems, unless they give you a value for x and also given, and then it turns out that px is equal to x minus the given, which I'll just show you in a second. Is the value for x given? Yes, it is, number 1. Choose number 1, and it's given as x equals minus 2, so we're going to press alpha minus 2. Show you what you've entered. You can change it if you want. I say it's okay, and then I do the calculations for you. X minus a minus 2 is equal to x plus 2. That's the radius now. That's p of x. Okay, done. We're finished with that one. Now I ask you if there's two functions in the system. Okay, I had to reprogram this stuff because I was always dealing in one function, but no, this problem here has got two functions. So I say yes, and we have to press alpha, and we have 4 times x minus x squared. I'll show you what you've entered. That's pretty good. So you're going to say okay. Now we're going to do number 2. Now I've already programmed it in here for that, so just save time. But you saw how I entered the other one. You're going to press alpha and enter this one here, okay? And here it is. Say it's okay. So now we subtract the larger from the smaller from the larger. Here's the larger function right here, and then we subtract that one to get the area in between those two, okay? In between those two, which is 4x minus x squared. So that's h of x. We figured that out, all right? Now, because there's two functions involved, we can set them equal to each other and solve for x. You can do that through algebra yourself here, but you switch things over. You're trying to solve for x, so you can, or just put down this x equals 0 or x equals 4. Okay, the calculator, I programmed it to do it for you. So V equals volume of a cylindrical shell. And here's what you enter. Here's P of x, here's H of x over the limits of 0 and 4, which we found, okay? Write all this stuff on your paper exactly as you see it. We're going to calculate P of x and H times H of x, which is equal this here. And we're going to integrate, which equals this, and then the limits here. And at x equals 4, we got 256 pi over 3. X equals 0. Upper minus lower, 256 pi over 3. Here's your answer, 256 pi over 3, which is what he couldn't get, but here we could get it by sanely doing stuff in a systematic manner. And approximately equals 268 cubic units. Notice they never put cubic units in the answers here for any of these teachers or whoever they are. Here's Ted S. He did 7 years ago. And look at this pathetic answer. How did you get a positive number? You can't change the answer because you know it cannot be negative. Find the error. Everything else is valid except for the evaluation. Well, thanks, Ted. What a great answer. That really cleared this whole thing up, didn't it, huh? Never knew how they got 0, 4 for the limits, etc., etc. But when you buy my programs, I do tell you that because I'm completely for you, and I'm against the professors, and I'm against calculus, and I'm against teaching it at all. You know, they should be, it's just like them teaching you 3 semesters of Latin to learn Latin for your major, or imaginary numbers if you're a math major, to learn your, all that nonsense. Let the math majors do calculus and figure calculus and play with calculus. They're wasting their time too. Calculus solves nothing useful. Complete waste of time. And so anyways, go to my site, buy my program, and then if you can, on the bottom of the screen is a subscribe button. If you can click on that and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. I need to get subscriptions so I can make these programs even better, okay? So anyways, have a good one, okay? Good luck in your classes. I'll help you if you buy my programs. You can call me and I'll help you with the calculus or whatever. So you have a private tutor, whatever you want, I know calculus. All right, have a good one.